because I also wanted to catch you up on some of the ATEEZ story stuff
Awesome. Okay.
because they have their new thing coming out.
Come back.
Yeah, the new spin-off from The Witness.
Okay.
I'm sure you've been seeing a few things
Little
about
bit.
it, a little bit. But everything, like they asked about like what the comeback's going to be like spoilers, whatever. And Hung Jun has said, brush up on your lore.
Really? Oh no.
The lore is going to be very important, apparently.
Apparently. Okay.
So, yeah, I thought I would, but so I'm not going to go into like all of the diary entries. I know you don't have all of the albums, so I was going to show you atome.net has they have the basic summary
of the whole story
of the whole thing. Different terms you might hear that you might not necessarily know.
Okay.
And then they have the actual written out diaries for the story. So it has all of them.
Someone put a lot of work in that.
They also have like about ATEEZ, obviously, and they have stuff about the comebacks, and then guides if you need to know how to do the voting and the streaming and everything like that for it. So yeah, somebody put a lot of work into this. We all greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was gonna just do like basically like a big overview. Hello. Somebody says hello.
Hey.
Yeah. So you've seen the diary film.
I've seen the diary film.
So you kind of know about there's ATEEZ, and then there's we haven't really gone into anything treasure. We've mainly tried to stick with fever because that's where we actually know everything that is actually canon. Like there's a lot of theories and stuff, but
what we actually know
because of the diary entries, we actually have like canon story.
Okay.
But that they end up in another dimension or another world or whatever, and some people keep saying that they think it's like the future and the past, and that's because of a specific diary entry from when they end up back in their world. It says that they went back into the past, and so they assumed that meant that the other was the future. For me, I mean, and it might prove wrong. It might prove that they actually did, but it actually said they actually did go into the past because they went into the past before Yoonho's brother was hurt. So to me, it just seemed like it's another dimension, but it actually went back into the past into their own world. Okay. But it could be that this is also like the future of their world to come as well. That's just different ideas, I guess.
Yeah.
But you basically, there's like the two worlds.
Yes.
So we have they basically, and that's why we have the different versions. There's usually version A, version Z, and then the diary version. So A is ATEEZ's world, and Z is the alternate world, the other world.
Okay.
So that's how they kind of refer to them. So ATEEZ is from World A, and ATEEZ, also known as the Black Pirates, are from World Z. Okay. And the leader of World Z is called Z. Makes sense.
Makes sense.
And the Strickland is what the place that they ended up going to is in World Z.
Okay.
And so you basically got from that the in World Z, art, dance, music, all of that is been prohibited. It's banned.
Yeah.
Can't have any of that. You saw the thing for the world where they had the screen and the brainwashing, so about that. Yes. And then you see like the yellow chips in their ear, whatever. Yes. So that's actually in the diary. They mentioned it. Ooh. It's like an implant behind their ear that's supposed to suppress their emotions. So that's actually in that. Trying to think what else. Yeah. So there's this idea again. We're dealing with the world because this is kind of like the beginning of that story there. The theory, I guess, is that ATEEZ were like a group of students or whatever that opposed this ban on the art. So they started doing like dance mobs, like flash dance mobs and stuff, and like singing and stuff in public. And it started a resistance, which is the resistance that, you kind of
that ATEEZ comes into.
Yeah. And, they called themselves the Black Pirates. And so in order to fight that, the government creates these giant android guardians.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they are literally to hunt down the Black Pirates. So in the videos that you've seen, the man in white.
Yes.
He was
an
android guardian.
Oh.
So that's who that is.
Okay. I remember the answer video had him in there.
So that's in all of these. They
They
end up running into them. So, yeah. Another thing that's also mentioned as just a brief thing is a lot of times you'll see in the video the yellow. You'll see like flashes of yellow and stuff in the thing, and I'm pretty sure that alludes to there is this yellow fog that surrounds the gray city of Strickland or whatever, and it causes hallucinations.
Oh, lovely.
So
okay,
and the story from that is that the android guardians burn people's memories, and that is what causes the fogs. So, and that's where that comes from. So that's all in the stories and stuff too. But basically, so I've got a little written down. You see at the beginning that Hala Hongjun uses the Cromer, which is the
hourglass looking thing.
The teleportation device. You can use it to enter people's dreams on the crescent, and then you can actually travel dimensions on the full moon.
Okay.
So he uses it to enter Hongjun's dream.
Okay.
And he gives him the Cromer. And that is because the Halateez, the Black Pirates, they needed ATEEZ's help. They ended up getting captured.
And that's how they
And so that's why he
reached out to them.
He reached out and was trying to give away the Cromer.
Okay.
I hope I'm explaining this at least a little bit better.
You are. It's it helps that you show me the video. That's that first overview that shows like the background for everybody.
Yes.
What was it? Was it the diary? Or what was
the diary film.
Diary video.
Yeah.
That helps. That at least lets me know what you're talking about. And then like you said, the guy in white, having seen him in the answer, like this is helping piece together pieces I've seen in the videos.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you're explaining it.
Okay. Okay. So Hongjun receives the Cromer.
Yes.
And then all the members find themselves going back to the warehouse. So that's actually, I have my little book here. One of the stories, I was going to see if it's where they actually say that I think it's Sans. He says his feet just start to move. Maybe it's not in this one. Maybe it's in, but his feet just starting to move, and he finds himself in the warehouse, and it makes it seem like all of the members just kind of, for one reason or other, end up finding themselves back into that warehouse, and then Hongjun flips over the Cromer, and they are transported into a warehouse in another dimension. It mentions that it's familiar but different.
Gotcha.
So it's in the other world or whatever. And as soon as they get to that warehouse, they are attacked by the android guardians. And they trick them once, and then they get attacked again. Again, this is all in the story. You can actually go through and read it.
I was going to say, is there any video of this, or it's all just written in their diary?
It's written in the diaries.
Okay.
And android guardians eventually get the Cromer.
So ATEEZ is now stuck there?
Yeah, so now ATEEZ can't get home.
Awesome. Okay.
And so while they were attacked by them, the Grimes siblings end up helping the members of ATEEZ, and they take them to the Strickland dump. That's where they're hiding or whatever.
Okay.
And there's Left Eye is the guy that runs the dump or whatever. And in the videos for the world comeback, you saw the old man with the glasses, and one of them was like broken or whatever. The left one was broken. So people assume that that's Left Eye.
That makes sense.
So, and there's like a whole deal with Left Eye too about how how he doesn't want to help, and then like he's obsessed with his dead daughter. Like, yes,
goodness.
like
this is this whole other storyline.
Yes, which Yoonho's like really relates to because of his brother, and so there's like that sort of, so it kind of becomes important or whatever.
Okay.
But through Left Eye, they find out where the android guardian base is.
Okay.
And they know that in order to get the Cromer back, they have to infiltrate that bunker to get the Cromer. And so it's assumed then that the deja vu video is them trying to break into the bunker to get the Cromer.
Okay.
So when they break into this place, they find ATEEZ trapped. And this is actually their first meeting with ATEEZ. They're like, wait, you're real? like, so they actually see themselves trapped in these boxes or whatever. And so,
wow.
I know, right? Yeah, so half of them find the ATEEZ, but they can't get them out. So they end up dressing up like in their outfits or whatever. And Yosung actually is the one that finds the Cromer. Like, he's missing, and then he comes back and he has the Cromer, but the android guardians are chasing them, and then... Oh my goodness, okay. So through it, the android guardians grab Yosung. Mm-hmm. And he's like, don't give them the Cromer. But Hongjun, can't. So he starts to throw the Cromer to them, and Yosung ends up grabbing it first. He flips it and then smashes it. And so then as the light flashes, it sends the 7 of them back to the other world, and Yosung's now trapped. But like, one thing I thought that was actually really cool in the diary, I like the whole scene is actually kind of sad. I think it's in San's. Let's see. But Hongjun has glass and sand in his hand. Oh. And then San like goes on this, like he's like keeps counting. Oh no, so it's the 3rd. He keeps counting and is like we only came back with 7. Like, it's so sad, like the way that they did it. Like, he's so upset, obviously. Wow. Yeah, I'm just trying to find it. Where's Sans? Oh, yeah, there. No, so maybe that's not this one. So it might have been the epilogue. Anyways, one of them. It's a really sad scene. It's, so yeah. So they're like all upset that they're all home, and they think Yosung is dead. Mm-hmm. Which, another thing, at the end of the deja vu video, it shows that, where it shows the broken Cromer and Yosung and Hongjun reaching for each other. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like that scene. So, and then things get a little weird. Oh yeah, they end up back, and they think that Yosung is possibly dead. They don't know what happened. But in the story, so in most of the diaries, you find out that Yosung has this thing with drones. Okay. So, they're discussing like, where's Yosung, whatever, and then there's a knock at the door, and there's a drone. And so they know that Yosung is alive because he sent a message to them. Okay. In video form, it is represented by that paper airplane that Hongjun receives in Turbulence. That's it. Okay. So that's a really cool like little...
Oh, they kind of tied that in there.
Yep. So now they know that they need to save Yosung, but they don't know how until they find a newspaper article talking about this, and I can't even pronounce it, but in the glossary, the religious movement tried to steal an artifact from a museum.
Okay.
And it's basically the Cromer from this world.
Oh.
And so now they're like, well, I guess we get to go rob a museum.
There you go.
So they do. They go and try to get that Cromer, and then that religious cult shows up, and there's that whole thing, and they're saved by Yoonho's motorcycle gang. And Yoonho's brother is involved again, and like,
oh my gosh, like a whole big,
there's like a whole big, like I said, there's a lot. Like, you really want to read these diary entries. It's a huge roller coaster because, in the first dimension, Yoonho's brother dies.
Yeah.
But he's alive, and Yoonho says he doesn't want to go help rescue Yo-san because his brother's still alive, and he doesn't want to leave his brother now that his brother's still alive. But after Yoonho ends up having to save the member stealing the artifact, and his brother tries to come and help him, he gets hit by a car anyway. So, like, so he has to go through that twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Poor Yoonho. So they and they captured Yo-sang when he's in the prison. He's locked in a glass prison with no light. They mention that in his little entry. And then he has to watch as the Grimes siblings, you briefly meet in the diary, and other resistance members are killed in front of him. Like,
wow, this is dark. Okay.
It gets really dark, right? Like,
wow.
So, and so then they have to basically go save him, and that is where, or they do go save him. They end up saving him at the end of the epilogue. And so then I wanted to show you, because this is all supposed to take place before Treasure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, now there's also a lot of things of, like, exactly where.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, where everything comes in. Like, but there is this lovely video, which we'll have to thing, where he was on Shoterview. It's an interview. And he talks a little bit about the storyline.
그러면 ATEEZ의 세계관은 정확히 뭐야?
Okay, yeah. The
어차피
ATEEZ
세계관을
universe.
얘기할 때는 멤버들이 나한테 얘기를 하라고 하는 타입이라 내가 뭘 좀 준비했어.
아 진짜로?
내가 이해를 하기 좋은.
Oh my gosh, it's an actual like presentation.
Yes.
이게 지금
They are
피버
so cute.
시리즈라는
There's the
우리가
Fever
두 번째로
series.
했던 시리즈고 이게 첫 번째로 데뷔할 때 했던 이게 해적왕
그지,
찍었던
그지,
거야. 그래서 트레저 시리즈라고 해가지고 첫 번째 시작을 했고 그 다음에 피버 시리즈를 했는데 사실 순서는
So basically I don't know if you noticed, he's talking about these both take place in Universe A.
Yeah.
And so there's speculation. So we do know Fever takes place before Treasure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the way that this is laid out is not necessarily the exact same way that this whole story is going to be laid out. I've seen a lot of people think that Treasure's next, and I've also seen people say that the world actually comes directly after Fever,
Before Treasure.
before other things that happen.
Okay,
And
so it's kind of...
and it's not really explained in this, because even though he has it broken up like this, you'll see in a minute, it'll say Fever, Treasure, a question mark, and then the World series. It's really broken up into Universe A and Universe C. So these are the things that happen in Universe A, and those are the things that happen in Universe C.
피버 시리즈가 먼저야.
So he just says Fever comes before Treasure. We know that.
전의 내용을 담은 청춘들의 내용을 담은 내용이고 이게 사실 두 번째야. 그래서 순서는 이렇게가 맞고
So
이제 이
that's
물음표가 하나
chronological.
있어.
뭐지?
물음표인데 이게 이제 이번에 나올 더 월드라는 앨범인데 이제 더 월드 시리즈가 이제부터 시작이 돼.
There's a question mark and then the world.
그래서 준비를 많이 했고 같은 날짜요. 맞아. 타이어리 7월 29일.
Yeah, they were released the same day.
하는 거예요.
이제 알았네.
너는
And he didn't even know it. Bless his heart.
우리도 이제 알았어. 나도 이제 알았어.
그래.
소통이 잘 안 되네, 애들이.
You guys need to talk. Yes.
이렇게인데
Yes.
여기서 중요한 게 뭐냐면 이해하기 쉽게 ATEEZ잖아. A 차원하고 Z 차원이 있어. A 차원에서 일어나는 얘기들이 이 두 개 앨범이야. 그리고 우리가 지금까지 Z 차원에서 페도라를 쓰고 좀 검은 옷을 입고 활동하는 ATEEZ의 모습들을 계속 그렸었어. 근데 그거에 대해서 이제 우리가 본격적으로 설명이 되는 앨범이 이 게릴라 앨범이고, 이게 마지막 내가 설명해줄 키워드 포인트인데 이 사이를 오갈 수 있게 하는 매개체가 하나 있어. 그게 크로머라고 해가지고 우리
Those two just talking about that thing, yeah.
이걸
Yep, the
통해서
Cromer.
우리가 왔다 갔다 할 수
Okay.
있어. 맞아.
So that basically,
매개체는 사람이야?
that's just to show that it is a kind of where we are with the World A and World Z.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the basic story from Fever, and then the basic story in the world is my little book. We can go back to the. That's a really good interview to read about too. So this is basically, so again, the story, and it's talking about, again, it's got the brainwashing stuff in it, and then the crowd cheering. I can speak for Z saying, and then the man standing in a plaza and feels somebody's present, looks to the left. Hongjoon's wearing a black fedora, smiled at him. The man didn't know Hongjoon, but unknowingly spit his name out of his mouth. ATEEZ. So yeah. So there's like fun, like little story stuff in here. So you get to learn about like, and then at the end of the gorilla video, you briefly saw that boy that was coming into the gate or whatever. So the diary talks about him. He's
Okay.
from the Prestige Academy, and that is going to be the target of trying to. So basically, there's like the school system of brainwashing,
Okay.
and they have to take a test at the end of it to make sure that they are fit to go into society and aren't, like
Wow. Kind of like an abnormal, like a
yeah, to make sure that they're
they're
actually
assimilated properly or whatever.
Yes, yes. And so the boy ends up, so there's a device that the resistance is giving out that basically breaks
The little yellow
the
chip.
chip. And so the boy did it, and he was hoping that his brother would be happy in knowing the truth.
Yeah.
So he showed his brother, but his brother's not happy, and now his brother's about to graduate and have to take that test, which he's not going to pass. And so there's like, and so that little boy's coming to be like, can you please save my brother?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is unwillingly going to be joining the resistance. So we will have to see how that turns out, because it's been made clear in the story that the younger brother
It's just not.
did it to
Yeah.
the older brother, like hoping that him knowing the truth, but he was not happy with learning the truth. So that's going to be a fun little thing. So yeah, the things that we actually know about with the diaries.
Okay.
Now, everything to do with the treasure series is speculation. One thing we do know is that the treasure series is a loop.
Loop. Okay.
So does it, in their little terms, does it mention? No, this is literally the mentions of that. So you'll see in some of the lyrics, you'll see that they're talking about the Mobius stripe or Mobius ribbon. Let me, Mobius strip. Where does it actually give the blah blah blah? Like I know there's non-orientable surface meaning that within it, one cannot consistently distinguish between clockwise and counterclockwise turns. Every non-orientable surface is a Mobius strip. It can be embedded into a three-dimensional space. Like, okay, a clockwise half twist is blah, blah, blah. Anyways, can I just do the picture? And I'll put this on the screen. That.
Okay.
That's
strip.
a visual representation of a Mobius strip. So it's a ribbon that
oh my gosh,
you can't follow just the outside because it ends up the inside. Like,
oh wow, I see.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So very fascinating. So that is actually a term that's used a lot in the lyrics too.
Oh.
So they make reference to it, and that's
That's how
basically
you know that they're kind of stuck in this.
what the Treasure series is, a loop that they're trapped in this time loop. And then there's mention to this Mobius strip. So there are some really good videos that I actually have up here. Now these came out before, so the Diary film and Inception were out, but that's it. So we didn't have any of the other stories. So there's a lot of theory in this, and I feel like it can still work. It'll just have to, change a little bit of your thoughts, but a lot of the points that this person makes is, and her name is Taya.
Taya.
Yeah.
Okay.
She makes some really, really interesting points, and she also talks about the tie to like different stories as well, because we know that Hung Joon had a lot of influence from. He mentions Peter Pan in some of his stories.
Well, the whole part with the world where everybody's emotions are suppressed and everything. Did you ever read the book The Giver?
I think that's
where
one of
there's no memories. Like there's one person who has the entire society's memories, and like they don't see in color, they see in black and white. Like, and it feels very much like that. That's
There's
the
also,
first thing I thought of when you said that ship kind of suppresses all their emotion.
1984, he's referenced. There's some French book, and I would have to look that up specifically, but I think she might actually mention it in this.
Okay.
That he said that he was reading, and usually
and
when he
inspire.
says when this, obviously they mentioned Eternal Sunshine, it's a reference to Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. Inception, obviously, we think that's obviously referencing the movie Inception, even though the word does have its own meaning. Yeah, just so much. So we're going to start watching some of this, and I think these are like really good. I really wanted you to see these anyway, so.
Okay.
And hopefully there is subtitles. She has an accent. Let me pause this for just a second. So I can, I hate when it does auto, and it was English subbed. Okay.
People want it.
This is from the Diary film.
Now, this is from, on the way up to the concert, I played for you this. This is that long journey.
Okay.
The intro to the entire Treasure series. So that's what this is from.
It can be different to every individual. It can complete us, or it can destroy us. And it can change the world. People call it treasure. The sound of wind blowing from the horizon. The warmth of the sun hitting the ocean waves.
This whole thing is just really cool. And
Yeah.
we listened to it, but you can actually see the words now, so I think it also helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Vibration of sand beating like the hearts of youth. We're at the starting point of this long journey. The freezing winds may make us shiver. The heat of the sun may make us thirsty. The vibrations of the sand may swallow us. But we'll never stop. Gold, eternal life, honor, love, fame. It doesn't matter what you dream for. So let me ask you, What is your treasure? Will you join us?
Nice.
What's the point of keeping these dreams when we have to give up on things that matter? Is it that worth of, even when I have to let go of myself? Whatever the answer is, it's your own decision.
ATEEZ is an 8-member boy group that debuted in 2018 under the company KQ Entertainment.
So yeah, some of the subtitles are a little off, but I think you can still understand.
Okay.
It's not a height member. It's crew.
8 member. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I didn't even notice that. I mean, I didn't have any trouble understanding her, so I didn't even read the
I don't
subtitles.
either for most of it. So
I know sometimes when somebody has a strong accent, for some people, it's hard to.
yeah, and so I really like that they have subtitles.
That as an option, yeah.
Yeah, it helps. You know,
It helps.
Ever since they debuted, their music videos have been telling a vague but consistent storyline which follows the journey of the boys within a mysterious pirate-themed universe. Their latest album expanded on this story by telling the origin story of ATEEZ, who turned out to be a group of normal teenagers struggling with their personal lives. To understand how these seemingly separate stories link into one, we first need to look into the themes and patterns in ATEEZ's music, which will later help guide us through the meaning of their songs. Semantics. ATEEZ's story, as we know it now, has 2 visible major inspirations: the movie Inception by Christopher Nolan, as well as the classic story of Peter Pan. We will later examine further the exact implication of these references, but to remain focused on the semantic aspect for now, we can find similar semantics between these works and the discography of ATEEZ. Firstly, the notion of dream, which might be the most mentioned word in all of ATEEZ's discography. Within their story, dreams have a double meaning. They can be both referring to the mental state of dreaming at night, or to the dream which is one's goal in life. We'll see that those 2 interpretations of the world play an important part in ATEEZ's story.
which I would love to understand also, because that is obviously something in English.
Yeah.
I wonder if the word in Korean is the same to mean those both things. I wonder how universal that is, because I don't, obviously I don't know Korean,
Yeah.
but you know, something that is literally you're dreaming at night, and then also a person's goal in life is their dream.
Is that the same?
And then the double meaning of the word treasure, like an actual physical treasure or something that you are searching for, or you're like at a goal again.
Yeah. What's important to you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I just don't know. That would be interesting to, if somebody knew, maybe in any language, how that, if they, I would assume, I'm pretty sure in German it's similar. And English is from Germanic, so
of course we're going to have similar.
that might be similar. I just wonder
associations.
if how far back that connotation went to like incorporate other languages, like, because that might be something from like the very beginning. It's across the board.
Yeah, kind of a universal.
Which again, that's a random thought, but you know, like the days of the weeks and the planets,
Things
how,
that appear in every culture, every civilization.
it's actually but you don't realize it when you first hear it. I think things like that are fascinating. But yeah, anyways, back to my random tangents. That is yep.
Time. Time is what shapes the world around ATEEZ, as well as the members themselves. Attached to this theme, there's the anticipation of change and growing up. Time is both something that holds a negative meaning as the change it brings is feared, but also needed to progress. It's worth noting that time is rarely linear in ATEEZ's story. Identity.
Also, with the growing up is a huge theme about youth and
Yet again, if there's ties from Peter Pan, then yeah, that would be definitely a big.
So you see a lot of mention of that with especially there's a huge tie between like Thanks and Turbulence, them being the same story but from one from a, you know, more rebellious point of view, and another like fearful, I guess, growing up.
Okay.
So both of them have the same, but a lot of the lyrics are the same between them, saying, you know, like parents telling me what to do, how I should
And your
become.
reaction to that, the two different.
Yeah. So there's like a really cool
Yeah.
so yep.
Establishing one's identity and trying to understand who you are. Those are some of the goals ATEEZ are pursuing through their journey. This thematic is heavily linked to the passing of time, as it influences one's identity both literally and figuratively in their universe. Treasure. The treasure is what one wants to obtain. It can be many different things and doesn't have to be a physical object. The treasure is very often associated with light, whether it is through a place or a person. This light is something.
Hang on a second. A couple of things. First of all, she has an accent. So I would think if this wasn't kind of a universal both meanings of the word, she would know that because it sounds like she speaks another language as well.
Yeah.
So I would think that she would point out that this is a uniquely English thing.
Well, I wouldn't think it's uniquely English, but I just wonder how it relates into Korean.
Also, somebody asked if we have any hidden talents.
I have.
You have a talent for getting degrees in foreign languages.
I don't know if 2 counts.
Well, yeah.
And then I can't even, like, it's been, what, 7-8 years?
Since you've actively spoken either language.
Yeah, so I can't even, like, use. Yeah, I don't know if
I have any hidden talents.
I don't know if it says where she's from. Probably not.
I mean, I can say the alphabet backwards, but I can generally only do that when inebriated. Is that a hidden talent? Does that count?
That's actually really funny because I randomly saw a. God, what was it? It was a K-pop related interview or something where they asked the same sort of thing, hidden talent, and somebody mentioned that
they can do the alphabet backwards.
The alphabet backwards, but in English. Like if you can imagine, like Korean people trying to do the English.
Oh my gosh!
It was really cute.
Oh my gosh!
God, I can't even remember who it was, but it was really.
Was it at least
cute.
somebody who's like pretty bilingual, like pretty fluent?
No.
Even better.
It was really funny them trying to figure out the alphabet backwards. It was really cute. God, I wish I remember who it was.
That would be cute to go back and find.
I'll have to see if I can find that.
Yeah, but other than that, any hidden talents, I don't really think.
Yeah.
Not that I can think of.
I'm not a very talented person. That's horrible. But yeah. Okay, do we need to... Okay, I think we got this.
With light, whether it is through a place or a person. This light is something ATEEZ are seeking and find comfort in, while the dark holds a more ambiguous role. Fire, heat. Contrary to what their pirate theme suggests, the element which is given the most importance through the story of ATEEZ is not water, but fire. Just like the dark, fire holds an ambiguous meaning as it's both a destructive force, but also one which brings change. Traditionally, fire is associated with rebirth as well as initiation rites. Through these themes, we can start seeing an overall idea between ATEEZ's thematics. The struggles of youth, during which we have to define ourselves as we pursue the things that we want. But to see how ATEEZ expresses those themes in their story, we have to start with the beginning. Diary film.
I like how in-depth, like how she really doesn't just, okay, here's the story, but actually like analyzes, like, okay, these are the major themes that we see in all of this, and
Yeah.
how, yeah.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of work put into this.
Oh
It's
yeah.
very
Clearly.
obvious. And again, like this is before we had any of the diary entries. So she has nothing to go on but these music
and-
videos and then the lyrics of the songs
Oh
and
my
stuff.
goodness.
So like and live, because she also talks about like the live concert stuff
Okay.
and the
yeah,
choreo
yeah.
and stuff, because I think I'm briefly mentioned how the the very last song of the Treasure series ties back to the beginning, to the song Treasure.
You did.
To show that it's a
did,
loop.
That it's a loop, yes.
And they do that through the choreography as well. So, like, this is a lot of work. All of these people, all these theory teeny put a lot of work into this. Someone else said hi.
Hey, welcome.
So yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Before the release of their latest album Fever Part 1, KQ Entertainment released a 16 minutes long short movie named Diary Film.
That's the one that you had
This
me
short
watch.
movie
Yes.
presents each of the ATEEZ members as normal high school boys, living through the struggles they each face and finding comfort in their friendship with each other. In this story, they find a safe place away from the hardships of the world in the warehouse they hang out at, but they eventually have to part as they grow up. In the diary version of Fever Part 1, you can obtain a lore booklet which offers additional story bits told from the boy's perspective.
Okay, so she did have at least that.
Yes.
She did have the.
So yeah, all that we
book.
have.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it doesn't get into. It's literally him getting the Cromer, and I'm pretty sure. How does it end? Let me go to the outro of it.
Okay.
Because it doesn't go. Oh yeah, so the end is the iron door then opened and I could hear the footsteps coming closer one by one. The guys then gathered around me with the same puzzled face.
So yeah, it doesn't get.
So that's how it's literally the end of the diary film. The diary film follows the diary.
The book, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
This is our own place, a space where our dreams came together, our hideout, our own world, separating us from the adult world.
This book reveals that even though they found happiness in each other, their dreams of staying together became an obstacle for them to grow up and progress.
On a summer day, we decided to go our separate ways. All that because our dreams of being together had become like shackles that hold us down.
That's sad.
As they grew apart and grew up, they slowly began to forget each other. But among them, there was one that couldn't get over this separation. Ongjung was the first one to hang out at the hideout, where he was apparently living alone due to some family issues.
My family is scattered around, and here I am with my new family I made while living alone. I've met my fellow members by doing music together in our little hideout. Just thinking about them warms my heart. I really hope we can achieve our dreams together. My family, the music I love, and our dreams, we must keep them.
The title of his diary is
I don't want to be forgotten as if I never existed. Wow.
is so like we're just going right into the feels with all of this, right?
Because he already saw his biological family drift away from him, Ongjung then wasn't able to accept that he would have to part with the newfound family he saw in his friends.
Even though I lost my dreams and family again, there was nothing I could do. Everyone left, and here I am, alone again.
It's as Ongjung finds himself languishing over the loss of his friends that a dark figure appears in front of him and hands an hourglass to him. The man in black calls it the Cromer, and this object will be a key in the story as it seems to have the ability to influence both the time and space.
Get rid of the idea that the world you see is everything. There are many dimensions and many realities in this world. The Cromer, the key to connecting the world.
When Ongjung looks at the Cromer in Diary Film, the reality seems to wrap and turn upside down around him. So it not only has the ability to turn back time, but to change the world you are in. This fits well with the theory of 15 Kim, which claims that in
So these are really interesting ones as well. They're obviously 100% Korean with English subtitles.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're very interesting to look up to. But again, they were also done before most of the Fever stuff. So unfortunately, a lot of theory stuff is older, though there is, well, obviously with that ateme.net has a bunch of the stuff on the theory, and then I think more things are going to start coming out. And then Hungjun has said that he is going to do a live or something where people can ask questions about the theory.
That would be so cool.
So
I hope he has his
has his notes ready.
Right?
Yep. So,
Ateme pays close attention. They're gonna have some deep questions, I have a feeling.
oh yeah.
I hope he's really got this thought through.
Would you just randomly French?
French?
So she might be
I think-
French. So that's
In ATEEZ's universe, the passing of time
I was
has an
looking at that,
impact on the world you find yourself in. When Hungjun is given the Cromer, he has one objective: gathering his found family back. But the real world is too harsh for them to be together, so he takes them to a world of dreams the Cromer can open the door to, the New World, as it's called in this booklet. This decision isn't taken by Hungjun on his own, however. In the diary version of Fever Part 1, you can find extra bits of story from each of the members' point of view, hidden
which I'll have to show you those sometime, but it's like an app
Oh my goodness.
on your phone.
Where you can see.
I'd have to log back in, I think. But it's an app, and then where's the ATEEZ stuff? So you'd have to scan the ATEEZ, and then you can watch the little things that she's
Oh
about
my
to talk about.
goodness.
So, so everybody,
Wow.
like that's, yeah, you would have to actually,
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a lot.
so you would have to collect all of these cards, because then you have to be able to scan them in order to see these little parts of the
See,
story.
I'm not used to just a band having this whole, like, this isn't like just a movie. This is a freaking series of novels that you're
Yes.
delving into with this group. It's crazy.
And each one of these stories is basically the stories in here,
Mm-hmm.
but there are little differences. And then there's also the Fever Road, if we ever get to watching that. It also has little pieces like the diary film that just give like little changes to the story. So you get like these little pieces. So you have to watch everything. You can't just like
I don't know of anything in like Western music
it does
that
something
is
like
this
this.
in depth.
Well, I mean, and even their like new comebacks and stuff, how it's because it's like a resistance. They had literally had like the
Their
resistant
marketing.
resistance posters
Their
posted
marketing's
throughout
been
the city that you had to
insane.
scan a code in order to get to these secret YouTube
Like,
videos
accounts,
or
yeah.
Instagram accounts. Yeah.
That is insane.
Like it's an actual
It's like
underground resistance.
literal like guerrilla advertising.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yep.
This is not a level of depth and detail I'm used to with just
Normal bands.
buying
Yeah.
a band's album.
Yep. So yeah,
This is crazy.
that is where all the
in the
These
AR
stories are.
photo cards. Most of the cards imply that the boys were aware that they were leaving to the world of dreams. Your sayings, specifically, indicate that it was their choice as a group.
So I love you and Mother. I wasn't happy at all in the world you and Mother were in. With my friends, I am not going to the place that I chose.
So she does keep mentioning the word dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's really taking in on the inception.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a huge theory at the time of whether, obviously, and she's going with this dream theory, if this new world was just a dream or if it was an
real.
actual real world. Well, the diaries later write it as they're going to a completely different world.
So they know at this point we know that it wasn't just a dream, that it was a legitimate physical place. But then they wouldn't have known that.
Well,
Would have been
well,
speculation.
she's speculating that they knew that they were going to a dream, but he's literally just saying he's going to this new world.
The place that I chose. Interesting.
And yeah, it does still question whether it is still all a dream or not, but in a different level. You know, like here it was very, very speculative. The then you get these diaries and you're like, well, it's not just a dream. It seems like it's a real world that they went to. But, So, yeah. But the whole dream aspect can still be used. It's just a little bit maybe different.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other members of ATEEZ are sick or scared of the world they currently live in. And so they decide to entrust themselves with Ongjung, who holds the power of the Cromer.
And because of the Cromer lying in front of my eyes when I woke up from my dreams, I was able to protect the members. So it was difficult and lonely at times. I was able to endure these days thanks to our members.
Okay, so that's another thing. Talking about like dreams, like he dreamed that the guy came and gave him the Cromer. You see him wake up from it, but the Cromer's there.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it is a dream, how much of it is still real?
Real as well, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, but again, like I said, this also doesn't have the whole story when she came up with these theories, but I do think a lot of this still works.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Assuming ATEEZ Theory is inspired by the movie Inception, it would make sense that the members are taken to Ongjung's dream space, which then explains why he's the only one fully conscious in the new world, and the one able to protect them. Before we get to the New World story, we need to establish 3 theories that are critical to understand it. 1. Ongjung's character within the story is filling the role of Peter Pan.
And the others are kind of like the lost
While
boys.
Peter Pan's character was made more kids-friendly in the Disney adaptation, the original character from the book and the play is a rather ambiguous one. Peter is a cocky, violent individual driven by the selfish desire not to grow up as to escape the responsibilities of the adult world.
If you think about the story in a non-Disney-fied manner,
yes. Well,
as are a lot of stories,
Yeah.
It's not quite as lighthearted and innocent.
Yeah, they really Disney-fied it, I guess.
Yeah.
He's also quite possessive and authoritarian towards the Lost Boys, but hides underneath a melancholic personality who yearns to be loved and cared for. Those characteristics help understand Ongjung's characterization within ATEEZ Story, as well as the dynamic he has with the rest of the members.
Another funny, well, I think she does bring it up, sorry. Peter likes to be called Captain as well. But I think she does bring that up in the story. It's funny.
It's worth noting that there are only 6 Lost Boys in the story, meaning one of the members could be playing the role of either Wendy or Tinkerbell. My suppositions fall on Songhua for several reasons, which will play a role much later on in this analysis. 2. The New World is based on the dream of the movie Inception.
And as often as it shows them asleep in their music videos, like you were pointing out that to me even like the first few videos we started watching, you're like, notice yet again they're asleep. Which...
Yeah, they're asleep in a lot of these videos, too.
Like she's suggesting Inception makes you think that they are referring to the movie Inception.
Oh, yeah.
Not just the general definition of the word.
Yeah. Yep.
Several people are linked to a single person's subconscious, which would be Ongjung's in this case. In ATEEZ Story, the creation and journey to the new world seems to be held by the Cromer, which could be the equivalent to the machine used to visit dreams in the movie. In Inception's dream, the world can be changed by the mental state of those who inhabit it, which can be both intentional or not. 3. The new world is a time loop based on the Mobius ribbon.
Like you said earlier,
In their video, 15 Kim suspects the passing of time defines the space you find yourself at in the Treasureverse. This explains why the original ATEEZ seems stuck in the past, while ATEEZ have many more modern equipment with them.
So you see the trumpet versus
the
megaphone.
I do see that.
The Mobius ribbon is a symbol of infinity, which works in a way that when you arrive at the opposite end of where you've started, you find yourself upside down. At the end of the story told by Treasure Era, ATEEZ implies that the New World's timeline is looped into infinity, and Mengi even mentions the Mobius in Good Little Boy.
It's also mentioned in Eternal Sunshine. I think there's another mention as well. But
now that we've established those key points, we can look into ATEEZ's journey within the New World, starting with what comes before the beginning.
so yeah, she's saying then that most of Treasure is this time loop, but that certain pieces of it are outside of that loop.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty widely. I think a lot of people feel that
It's
way.
generally accepted, yeah.
That some of these stories, even though they started with Pirate King and Treasure, that a lot of the like Hala Hala is and Say My Name are outside of that. That they're not actually part of the loop.
Gotcha.
Coming to I won't give up. Everybody say yeah.
Someone's asking today, are we only going to do ATEEZ or are we going to discuss anything else? Do you want to just get through the end of this film and then maybe talk about some others too?
I mean, if you would like to, this only gets through like a little piece of it, but we can
We can break this up into multiple streams. That way we get to more than just ATEEZ today. And
yeah, we can do that.
if there's any suggestions of who else you'd like to see, let us know. We'll just try and get through. Do you think we can get through the whole film?
Yeah, we'll see.
It'll work. Yeah, okay, we'll see. But I'd like to see.
We
fit
can
somebody
definitely
else in
look at
too,
other
yeah.
stuff too.
Let us know who you're thinking.
Yep. I just thought it would be good since the comeback will be the 30th to try to get some of
this in. Yeah. But even if we do a little bit of it every week, and that way I have some time to process it.
Yeah, there's a lot going. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention. So in the diary film, so obviously, yeah, she wouldn't mention this in hers because she didn't have it's not a diary film, but in the diaries, they mentioned that the Android Guardian bunker is in an old museum.
Where they end up going to steal back.
And this is in a museum that's empty.
Okay.
So this actually might be taking place in that
museum.
That museum that
Interesting.
ends up being the Guardian bunker, or this is in the Guardian bunker, because if you remember in the Movement diary, it talks about the last thing written is the Say My Name, ATEEZ, but it refers back to this particular song. So yeah,
interesting.
So again, that would also say that this is not in that loop. This is part of the other story. Yep.
The beginning of the dream, Treasure, episode 2. Although Treasure episode 1 is ATEEZ's debut album, we know from the scene at the end of the Say My Name music video that Treasure episode 2 takes place before the event of Treasure, which is why we'll start recounting the story of Treasure era with this album. Treasure episode 2, 0 to 1, tells the story of the formation of ATEEZ within the New World, before they started their journey in Treasure and Pirate King. For this reason, I believe Treasure episode 2 doesn't happen within the closed time loop of the New World. Rather than this, Treasure episode 2 sits right in between the real world and the New World as a state of transition between the two. This explains why in the music video of Say My Name, ATEEZ are wandering in an empty museum devoid of anything but a single picture. This picture represents a desert and is what leads them to the place where they're actually beginning their journey later on. Say My Name is a song about ATEEZ boldly asserting their own identity and finding strength in each other and their fans. Through the law's lenses, however, its meaning gets a bit trickier. In Peter Pan, stepping in the Neverland seems to cause the loss of two things: the perception of time and the memories of your past. When Wendy and her brothers arrive to Neverland, they slowly start losing sight of who they used to be and begin to write down facts about themselves in case they forget them.
What did disturb her at times was that John remembered his parents vaguely only, as people he had once known. These things scared her a little, and she tried to fix the old life in their minds by setting them examination papers on it as like as possible to the ones she used to do at school. They were the most ordinary questions. What was the color of Mother's eyes? Which was taller, father or mother?
The new world which Ongjong takes the members to appears to have similar effect on them as the lyrics imply. ATEEZ's past lives are slipping away from their memory, and we can see them in the music video surrounded by papers and name tags.
Oh my god, I gotta point out something. So this right here was actually recently used to decode something. Like they just released, so I'll have to find that. But they had thrown this back way back then,
and then now they're using it to decipher stuff that they're just releasing with their newer.
Yep. So there's a code that people have used this to decode it. This one random sheet of paper, and there's also another sheet of paper that they point to that talks about the soil content, and everyone's like, what? But it mentions sand. And so they're wondering now, the whole theory is, are they going to try to recreate the sand that is in the Cromer? Because now the Cromer's broken, type of thing. Like, just these things that people find, like, amaze me.
Right?
Yeah.
And we can see them in the music video surrounded by papers and name tags in a way that's reminiscent of the scene from the Peter Pan book.
So even though this is a really cool, like, tie to the Peter Pan and the, I do also feel like the whole name tags might have another meaning and stuff too. Like this whole scene, like I said, just the code and the fact that they're looking up soil content of sand and stuff. Like I feel like it might actually have a different meaning, but this is a really cool idea as well.
This also makes sense, as dreams always lack a beginning. You can never remember how they started. Ongjong, the only member who is fully aware of the situation, even encourages the member to throw away their old selves and entrust themselves to him as he now becomes their captain. He will reaffirm his captain persona through the choreography and lyrics of their songs several times after that. It's likely that he took it on because he had the responsibility to protect and lead the members through the new world. It's also reminiscent of Peter Pan's role, as Peter and the other boys refer to him as a captain in the book.
But Peter, oh, that is Captain Pan.
At your service, madam.
Another symbol that helps identifying Ongjong's roles as Peter Pan is his association with the moon, which is commonly used in the representation of the famous Disney character.
So that's also really cool, but I also think, again, we know that the moon is shown because it represents the Cromer. So, you know, like, again, it's a cool tie, but
again, maybe
there's
that's
also
why the moon
another.
was chosen to represent the Cromer.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason why.
Yeah. So there is also other ties.
Interesting.
In Treasure, the opening shot shows Ongjong looking up at the moon, and in Say My Name, the lyrics imply that the moon is what gathers them together.
Yep.
Very Peter Pan.
Yes, very Peter Pan.
In fact, this scene perfectly mirrors the opening scene of Peter Pan's story. Rather than being Ongjong himself, I believe the moon here is a symbol of his subconscious. If ATEEZ are in Ongjong's dream, then the moon is a manifestation of his will within it. So when the members answer the moon's call, they're actually reacting to the will of Ongjong to gather them again and keep them close together. This way, they shred away their old lives and are born again. But But ATEEZ aren't the only ones gathering during episode 2. Indeed, as ATEEZ are drawn together by the moon in Say My Name, the very first song of this album introduces instead a major figure in their story. 8 men dressed in black, wearing familiar faces and strange masks. They are Allah ATEEZ.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember seeing you saw that video. Yeah.
Yep.
Allah Allah. It's difficult to establish a certain explanation for Allah ATEEZ's existence. Their names and faces are the same as the ones of ATEEZ, and their song indicates that they are another side of ATEEZ. Just like Ongjung called for ATEEZ with an old trumpet, Allah Ongjung called for his own with a megaphone to which the same flag is hung. This could symbolize that Allah ATEEZ come from the future of the New World, while ATEEZ are in the past.
Which, yes, it could. But then we also found out that Hala Tees are not just ATEEZ. They're not like an
separate individuals.
They are a different. But yeah.
Okay.
This is still
valid theory.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Following the logic of the Mobius stripe, ATEEZ and Allah ATEEZ's beginning point is the same, but on different sides of the stripe. This explains why the two groups occupy the same space but not the same time.
Interesting.
It also means that Allah ATEEZ is the inverted version of ATEEZ, as they start from the opposite side of the stripe.
Yeah, so that Luna also uses it.
The same basic concept of the
For this reason, it would be wrong to assume that Allah ATEEZ's nature is evil. According to Ongjung in the behind video for episode 2 photoshoot, Allah ATEEZ are standing in ATEEZ's way. In the movie Inception by Christopher Nolan, from which we know now ATEEZ's lore is inspired from, the subconscious of a person can hurt those who wander in their dreams. There is a possibility that Allah ATEEZ are either Ongjung's subconscious rejecting the other members, or simply the will of the members to wake up from the dreams they are locked in.
Interesting.
I personally lean towards the second option, as Allah means hearts awakened, live alive, further indicating that their goal is to wake ATEEZ up. Besides, in Inception, one of the ways to wake up from a dream is to die, and we can see Allah ATEEZ killing themselves at the end of the performance video.
Interesting.
Very interesting ties, right? But
Very.
Also we do know that Hala Tees are separate people too. So like it's
still, man.
It still can kind of work, but at the same time it's like
not completely.
It's not completely as she says, yeah.
Somber appearance of the
This
group
is a really cool idea that of Peter Pan's shadow too.
Oh, yeah.
could also evoke Peter Pan's shadow, which has a will of its own and represents the attachment the boy has left to the real world. The true nature of Allah ATEEZ remains a mystery, however. In the diary film, it was Allah Ongjung who originally gave the Cromer to Ongjung, which questions not only his objectives, but relation to the new world. In the music video for Thanks, which was released recently, we seem to get to see Allah ATEEZ's origins within the new world, with visuals that were similar to those of Treasure and Illusion.
So yeah,
the pirate ship and
again that seems to be a pretty common that Inception maybe ATEEZ's beginning as they're just regular schoolboys, and that Thanks is Hala Teez's
Inception, or
beginning story. So yeah, a lot of people still say that.
Are Allah ATEEZ people of their own, or are they just a reflection of ATEEZ? Can they only exist within the world of dreams? Because it's hard to draw conclusions on this matter for now, we'll move on only with these three ideas. Allah ATEEZ's starting point is the same as the one of ATEEZ, but it's further in time and at the opposite.
Which still might be true.
Yeah.
If you say that Universe Z is the future of Universe A.
Yeah.
Like an alternate version of their future than they would be. But yeah.
ATEEZ aren't evil, but they are hindrance to ATEEZ. Their goal is likely to wake them up.
That might not hold, but
the lyrics of Ala Ala EVD associate them to fire and heat, which are in ATEEZ's lore a symbol of rebirth and change. Keep those in mind as they will become relevant again later, and let's go back to our story's protagonists. After Ala Ala and Say My Name comes 3 more songs, which I believe serve the purpose of giving us further insight on the members' feeling as they're walking in the new world. Desire. Desire is a song about selfishly desiring to have someone, even though that desire is dangerous to you or them. The person that is desired is also referred to as treasure that has to be reached at a certain place, an idea that will come up again in the future. I believe this song could mirror Ongjong's feeling as he takes the member to the new world. He's acting selfishly for taking them away from their lives due to his own loneliness, and is aware that it could potentially hurt them. These feelings are expressed in his final verse.
Notice the choreo, which is where she gets that, where he knocks them all down too.
We can also note that in the choreo for the specific part, Ongjong starts off by being surrounded by the members, before later on making them fall to the floor. Together with the lyrics, it suggests that Ongjong could eventually bring the members to their demise himself. Light and Promise.
Yeah.
Light and Promise are 2 softer songs which explore the feelings ATEEZ have for each other at the beginning of this long journey. Both start off by indicating the fall of the night has come, which can also symbolize the moment one falls asleep and thus starts dreaming. Light is a sweet song about finding hope and comfort in someone's existence, and hoping for their presence by your side. Here, the light is what a person can become for another, just like the treasure was in Desire. In the meantime, Ongjong's lines specifically touch on his wish not to let the members leave the new world. Promise reads like an answer to light. The song is a vow to stay by someone's side no matter what, and to become the light that will give them hope.
So, Light is Hongjun's song to the members, and Promise is their promise back to Hongjun.
Promise is also a song showing their determination to reach a certain place together, which I believe is where they hope to be free from the struggles of the real world. This place will later be defined as a utopia in episode 3. Interestingly, in the diary book, Ongjong mentions promises that he had made with the other members. We can assume that the promise made in this song reflects one that they remember from their real lives, one that they couldn't keep back then but will hold on in the new world. If Promise promise and light mirror each other, we could interpret these songs as light being a reflection of Ongjung's feelings, his doubt and the yearning he feels towards his friend, while promise is the member's answer to these feelings. Promise's music video starts off for all 7 of them surrounding their leader, which illustrates their will to stay with him and honor their vow. Holding on each other and longing for a better world, ATEEZ are now walking towards the actual beginning of their journey, with only the shadows of their older selves in their way.
They filmed it while they were on their tour, so you can see Russia. They did concert in Russia.
That's cool.
Yeah. So.
Very cool.
Yeah. That's just the beginning. So.
Wow.
It gets darker from there.
I feel like we need to watch Care Bears or something now.
Oh, it just keeps getting darker.